YouTube, what is y'all doing? My plans for this car and what I want to accomplish with it, or what I wanted to use it for, cannot be fulfilled with how low the car is sitting. So I've come to terms with removing the Rev 9 coilovers. Now a lot of y'all thinking, why not just raise them up and stuff like that? I have tried. I max these things almost out trying to like get the car to raise up some where I'm not rubbing, but it's not working. So I just decided it was time to can it, and I'm gonna let y'all know what I think the reason is. So as you can see, I did the big brake upgrade kit on my Lexus, and when you do that, you have to have roll center adjusters. Roll center adjusters are basically metal, thick pieces of metal about that thick that sit between, I think it's the spindle and the lower control arm. And what that does is that allows you enough clearance to clear tie rod in back here with the brake caliper. Well, when you do that, that lowers the car some. So which means if you're on coilovers, you have to raise it up some. If you're stock suspension, you probably don't have much to worry about. To put this into perspective, I have done a lot of suspension maintenance on this car. I have done new lower control arms, inner and outer tie rods, you name it. I've done a lot of stuff on this car off camera, and the Rev 9s just won't go any higher. You look in here, you can see like there's like a little window right here that you can use to see how high the coilovers are. Rev 9 says you aren't supposed to really go too far beyond that, which I haven't done. It's still safe, but I just don't trust it enough to go any higher, and the car is still rubbing. So I could play with the preload a little bit, and that honestly might help some, because that might stop some of the sag in the suspension, but I really don't want to play with the preload. I really just have things that just fit right. And to be honest, I don't want to roll the fenders on this car. That was never my goal, was to roll my fenders on this car. I like the stock body. I want to keep this car usable in its natural state for the most part. So rolling fenders and all that stuff was never part of the plan. I'm not really a huge fan of like just completely slam cars, and I'm also one of those people who don't like the excessive camber, like all of that 10 degrees, 20 degrees, whatever y'all running. I'm not a huge fan of that. To me, a lot of times you can just go overboard, and I'm not a fan of the extreme. A little bit of camber maybe if you have to, but like when it starts getting excessive, I'm just not a fan of all of that. I like the things to just fit right and look nice. So I've come up with the solution of pulling the Rev 9s off, seeing if I have better luck with a different style of coilover. So the goal is to just see if with these newer coilovers, if they help more in terms of driving dynamics and what. That's what we got in replace of these things. It's heavy. That's right, we went with Meagan Racing coilovers. These things are super dope. You unbox it, this is the presentation. Get your books, extended warranty, some stickers. But these are the Meagan Racing coilovers. Now I know y'all want to know why I want Meagan Racing. Why didn't you go with BC Racing or something like that? First off, BC Racing coilovers are nice, but they're really expensive. Didn't want to go that route. And plus, on my IS, I have Meagan Racing coilovers, and they drive phenomenally. I love how the Meagan Racing coilovers feels, how they drive. So I decided it would be good to try some on the big body, the GS. So that's what we're going with on this car, and that is the reason. Nothing more. I'm honestly not quite sure what's up with these Rev 9s on the car. These are not the ones that I put on originally in my last coilover video of this car. I actually ordered some new Rev 9s, so this is my third time putting coilovers on this car. I got some that from the junkyard, which I'll try and put that video right here. But after that, I got some new ones, and I put those on off camera. As you can see, these look a lot better, but I put those on off camera. So these have been on the car for about maybe a year and a half. So I don't know, I'm done with them. So I know a lot of y'all are gonna want to see a side by side of these coilovers, kind of compare them. First thing first that I'm noticing is the Rev 9 seem to be a little bit thicker down here. It could just be an illusion because of how I'm standing, but they seem to be a little bit thicker down here. This bushing down here, as you can see, is rubber on the Rev 9s, but it looks like they might be polyurethane on the Meagan Racing. So the Meagan Racing is higher quality in that aspect. The Meagan Racings, you can pick these up for like $7.99, and I think the Rev 9s go for like $5.99. So, you know what I'm saying, use your best judgment with what you want to do with that. Otherwise, I know I'm comparing a used Rev 9 to a new Meagan, but I mean, these, I don't feel like I've used these long enough for them to really be that far off. The Meagan Racing is obviously higher quality. I like how you get black splines here, so it doesn't get this color and starts looking rusty and bad and stuff like that. I can't think of anything else I'm missing. I think they're pretty similar specs, but I think the Meagans will ride a little bit higher for me. If we go up here, 32-way adjustment, I believe, on both. So you got your dampening here and here, and you can see like the Meagan Racing to me just looks a little bit more quality in terms of finish, but the Rev 9s don't look bad. They honestly don't drive bad, at least from my experience, but I can't compare how they drive to the Meagan Racings because obviously haven't installed them yet. So that's pretty much what you get. All right, so I'm gonna be installing these on the car now. Let's get into it. Alright YouTube, we just finished up getting the suspension put on the car and installed. Everything's been torqued down off camera. I'm about at a point where I'm ready to put the car on the ground. I'm trying to decide if I want to take the Kansas off of the IS and throw them on the GS for now. Thinking that might be what I do, just because I want to put those rims back on this car anyway, and it'll be easier to dial in the fitment with the rims that I'm going to be running. So we'll see what I decide on that, but I'll show you the car when I get it back on the ground. Alright YouTube, the GS is back on the ground. I'm mainly concerned about the front. As you can see, I did leave a little bit of a gap in there on both sides, and that's because I know the suspension is going to settle, so I don't want it to already be slammed and settle. I want it to settle to where, you know, a comfortable position is. So I'm gonna leave it like that and take this car out for a drive. Gone over everything, it seems to be tightened down, so I'm super pumped about driving this car again. Like I said, I haven't been driving this car much because it's had some issues. Now that we've got those mostly resolved, I feel like getting this thing out on the road. Alright YouTube, we are in the GS 400. I usually like to let this car warm up just a little bit, but right now I'm just finna take it out for a spin. I'm not finna be hard on the car or anything, just cruise it. Probably do a lap around the neighborhood or the block or something like that, and we can see how everything goes. I ain't drove this car in so long, I almost forget how it drove. So I know a lot of y'all don't be looking at this video like, should I go Rev 9 or should I not? And I hope y'all can hear me over the exhaust. I don't actually have a problem with the Rev 9 suspension. Like, I had those on my car for a while. Like, those are the only coilovers I had ever ran on this car. So I don't have an issue with this suspension. It just didn't work for my application. Now, it could have been something wrong with how they were installed. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a professional mechanic, but I feel like I know how to install coilovers. I usually do not adjust preload. However the preload comes is usually where it stays at. I just don't really like messing with that type of suspension geometry. But I did want a nice drop, so I mean, if you on a budget, I say go Rev 9 because, you know, I haven't had any issues with them. If you're on a little bit more of a budget or a little bit less of a budget and you want something more quality, I think you should go with the Meagan racings. I just feel like they give you more variety in terms of height. Now for $500 with the Rev 9 coilovers, you can't beat the I think it's 32-way adjustable coilovers. You really can't beat that. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I really can't compare the two. They are the best budget coilovers. I feel like the Meagan racing are kind of budget in the coilover realm. I mean, they're not super cheap, but they're not super expensive either. Off the top, the car still feels fine. As far as the riding dynamic, like I say, I haven't really done much yet. It probably take me a couple days to ride on these to tell you how I feel. I'm expecting the car to like kind of drop some more and then we can see how it looks, but right off the top, like, it feels good. Like I said, I got Rev 9 coilovers. I'm sorry, I got Meagan racing coilovers on here right now, and I got Meagan racings on my IS350, and those on the IS350 feel wonderful. But the IS350 has a completely different suspension in this car. It's a lot stiffer from the factory, so I'm not gonna say it's completely different, but it's a lot different. And it's a smaller car. It's just a different driving dynamic altogether. But yeah, the car feels good, man. Please ignore this gaping hole right here. That's where I usually sit my tablet, but I don't have it mounted right now. And those 3 lights on the dashboard, the ABS, VSC, I still need to look that up and troubleshoot it. I have Toyota TechStream on my Windows computer, and for some reason it will not connect to the ABS module on this car. So I don't really know what that's about. The brakes work fine. I can hear the ABS pump run. I bled the brakes. So I don't know what that is. I tried replacing a wheel speed sensor. That didn't work. It's still still doing the same thing. So I don't know, I'm still trying to figure that out. I might have to just get me an upgraded scan tool that can actually read it, which I would think TechStream would do that, but I might have to get something else. And plus I need another scan tool anyway, because I go to the auctions every now and then. Wow, I miss driving this car. This is just one V8 engine that you can just enjoy. Like, it doesn't have to be super fast. I just love the chassis of this car, the driving dynamic. I mean, I don't know. It's a 90s V8, a 90s Japanese muscle car. Like, you can make these things fast if you want to put money into them. You can go VIP. You can manual swap them and put, you know, turbos on them, superchargers. It's just a lot you can do with this platform, and I think this car is like really underrated. And I think at some point people are gonna start really valuing these. Okay, he's letting us go. So far I haven't heard any rubbing or anything. Now like I said, that could change as the suspension settles, but right now it feels really good. As for the Rev 9s that I had, I do plan on selling those, so if anybody wants them, I'm not shipping. So if you're not local to the Nashville area, do not message me asking about shipping. Like, I'm not dealing with shipping. But if you want to meet me and get them or something like that, or at a location, I'd be interested in doing that, but I'm not shipping them. I want to say this feels smoother, honestly. Now, the Rev 9s, they were like pretty stiff. I got these on full stiff, and they do, I didn't even rub right there. They do feel stiff, but they're not, they feel a little bit smoother than the Rev 9s. I think the Rev 9s are more for just slamming your car, lowering your car. And these are more for like use. Because I like, my goal for this car is to be a great daily, and that's what it is. But I feel like with the Rev 9s, I just couldn't get that great dailiness out of them. And everything was fine until I did the big brake upgrade with the roll center adjusters. It seemed like after that, I just could not get those things to go any higher to overcome the amount of suspension droop, I guess, that those added. Because when you do the big brake upgrades on these cars, which is when you take the LS400 brakes and put them on here, and you do the roll center adjusters, those actually lower the front of the car. So I don't know, I just feel like the Rev 9s couldn't, like I said, it could be a problem with how they were installed. I don't see why. I did notice the spring looked like it was loose, which means that the preload might have been off. I don't know. I was just ready to wash my hands with them. Alright, YouTube, finally made it back home. There's the car. It rode well. But I try to answer all y'all questions in the video. If not, I try to answer them in the comments. Some of y'all like to send me questions on Instagram. I try to answer those. If I didn't answer some, or you got some questions about something here, leave a comment, send me a comment. I try my best to respond as best as I can. But with that being said, I think this is a good place to conclude this video. Like I said, we got more changes coming for the GS400. Thinking it's time to do a different route, pull that stuff off. I think that's gonna be maybe one of the next things we do on this car. But anyway, that's gonna conclude this video, y'all. Appreciate y'all for watching. I need to get my garage clean. Peace.